Let us chant verses 3 and 4. So Sapna, you can lead that.
न जानामि तानं न चत्यानयोगं न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रं न जानामि पूजां न च ध्यासयोगं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थं न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि माता गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि.
So yesterday we saw verses 3 and 4. And in verses 3 and 4, we really admitted our ignorance. And we said to Durga Devi, to our mother, that we don't know how to do things. We don't know how to do things properly. Charity properly, to even sit and contemplate, we don't know how to do that properly. We don't know Tantra. We don't know how to chant stotrams properly. Puja also, sometimes we rush, and sometimes we said our sadhana can also be a sense of stress that, oh no, I have to do this sadhana. And what to talk of nyasa, or invoking the deities in various parts of our limbs. We also don't know how to do good deeds. Sometimes we don't fully follow through with them. We don't know how to go on pilgrimages. In fact, now that has stopped, and we just go on a cruise or go on a road trip. But really, to go on a tirtham or to go on a pilgrimage is very rare. And we don't know liberation. We don't even know that we are free. That's the biggest blessing, that our shastras and our guru tells us that we are free, but somehow we're not able to grasp it. Definitely, we don't know samadhi or laya. And devotion also is very half-hearted. Sometimes we don't know how to be devoted to Devi. Sometimes if Bhagavati Devi gives us whatever we want, we're very devoted. But if she doesn't, then we question her and we wonder why she isn't doing what she's supposed to do. And what to talk of vows? We also don't know how to take vows anymore. Or sometimes we take them, but we break them, or we sort of justify them. And so they're not really firm vows. So we find that all of these spiritual practices, which we try to undertake, we don't know how to do them fully well. But we pray to Bhavani, at least we know, or we hope we know how to love. At least we know how to praise you. And so we saw the story of Kalidasa, where he didn't know anything, but he just went to the temple of Kali Mata. And he went there and he just prayed to her. And he just prayed and he was blessed. So like that, we hope that Durga Devi blesses us. Even if we don't know fully well how to practice spirituality, but as long as we seek her with sincerity, we hope that she blesses us. Today we will see verses 5 and 6. So first we'll chant verse number 5.
Kukarmi, kusangi, kubuddhi, kudasa, कुलाचारहीना कदाचारलीन कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रबन्ध सदाहं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि.
So in this verse number 5, in verse number 5, what we see is it's a verse of atonement. Many times we have some negativities in us and we don't really acknowledge them. We kind of don't want to face them, so we feel like maybe we don't have them, or we dress them up to look like they're a positive quality, or we justify them and we say, well, everybody does this, so there's really nothing wrong with me. Or we just say, yeah, I'm like that, so what? It's okay, I've always been like that. So sometimes we don't know how to deal with our negativities, and we don't want to face ourselves. We don't want to see what's there that needs to be fixed because it's scary. And so whenever there's a free time, whenever there's a moment to pause and be with ourselves, we turn on the television or turn on the computer or look at the phone, but try to distract our minds away from being with ourselves. But when we are able to sit with ourselves and just see where we are on the spiritual path and what work we need, then beautiful surgery can take place. You see, Durga Devi is like a doctor. And this doctor, she'll only be able to cure us. She'll only be able to heal us if we tell her what's going on, if we sincerely and seriously tell her that these are all of the things that are going on in my actions, are going on in my thoughts, are going on in my life. I need help, and please help me. And therefore, you are my refuge. So it is this tone that Adi Shankaracharya ji takes on the 5th verse. He says, Kukarmi. Kukarmi means I'm indulging in bad actions. Kusangi. And sometimes I'm in bad company. Kubuddhi. Sometimes I even have bad thoughts. Kudasaha. And I'm not a very good servant of you, O Devi. Kulachara hina. Kulachara means the conduct of the family. Hina means I'm not following the noble conduct of my family, of my lineage. Kadachara lina. Kadachara means misconduct or bad conduct. Linaha means I'm drowned in that. Kudrishti, sometimes I'm seeing also negativity. Kuvakya prabandha. Prabandha means essay or a writing. When I also write, there's kuvakya. There's not very good words coming out. There's a lot of negativity. Sadaham, all the time. And therefore, gatistwam, twameka bhavani. Oh Bhavani, I seek refuge in you. So let's look at this verse for a moment. You know, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna in chapter 3, he says, what is it, O Lord Krishna? Anichan abhivarshneya. He says, even if I don't want to do it, papam charati purushaha. Even if I don't want to do it, I still do negative thoughts or negative actions. We still perform negative actions even if we don't want to do it. Why is that, Lord Krishna? And Lord Krishna says it's because of kama and krodha. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhavaha. It's because of this desire, this selfish desire and this anger. These vasanas, which expresses desire and anger, it makes us commit these actions which we're not very proud of. So sometimes, because our vasanas are so strong, they're stronger than our knowledge, we are prone to do something wrong. And for a seeker, it's doubly sad. For somebody who's ignorant and they do something wrong, it's okay because maybe they don't know any better. But for us seekers, we know it's wrong. We know it's wrong, so we still do it. So we have two sadnesses. One is that we did a bad action, and two is that we know it was a bad action, but still we engaged in it. So in that way, sometimes we're engaged in kukarma, in bad action, because our vasanas just push us there. And then kusangi. Sometimes we're engaged in negative company. We're engaged in negative company and we don't know what to do or how to get out of it. And we think that nothing can happen. Maybe once in a while, it's okay if we hang around people or places which pollute our mind. And we think, okay, it's once in a while, it's once a week, it's only an hour. But little do we know the impressions that they leave in our mind. We all know what it's like to watch a movie. And then after that, or like a very violent movie, and then trying to go to sleep at night, that's very hard. It might be just a half an hour of this kusanga, or what we call negative company, or even a few moments. But if it creates a deep impression, it pollutes our mind and it makes us think those kinds of thoughts. So that's why our shastras say, be careful of who we associate with. So sometimes we're also kusangi. Then kubuddhi. Sometimes our thoughts, they're quite negative. Either they're negative about ourselves and we think of very limiting thoughts about ourselves. We think that we're not good enough, or we are not able to do something, or we're not strong enough. This is called kubuddhi, when we ourselves limit ourselves. Because Devi has shown us she's unlimited. She's unlimited strength and power and wisdom. And so when we tell ourselves, I can't do this, I'm not able to walk forward, I'm not able to move ahead, when it's something good, and when we limit ourselves, this is called kubuddhi. So sometimes those kinds of thoughts also come from ourselves, or sometimes some negative thoughts come about others. So sometimes this happens. Kudasaha. Kudasaha means, oh mother, we're supposed to be your sevaks and sevikas, but we don't know how to serve you. We don't know how to dedicate all our actions towards you. We read in the Bhagavad Gita all the time, dedicate our actions to Bhagavati, Bhagavan, dedicate our actions to the Lord. But we really don't know how to do that because we still expect so many results. We perform actions, but we still expect things to go the way we want to go. We say, I'm your servant and these children are your children. But when the children don't turn out the way we want, we're very upset. This business is your business, but if it doesn't turn out the way we want, we're upset. So kudasa, even being a servant of Goddess, we don't know how to do that. Then kulacharahina. As we said, our families, we come from such a great and glorious tradition. Not only our families, but our ancestors, our culture, our religion. We come from such a wonderful lineage. And yet, we don't adhere to it, or we don't even know about it. We don't know about it. And worst off is we don't want to know about it. So many times in our Bal Vihar, parents will come and will say, okay, let the children go to Bal Vihar, but then we will go to Costco or we will go to Starbucks, because then there's no wanting to know about the glory of our culture. So forget about, it's not so much about we don't know how to practice, we're not able to practice, that is also there. But there's so many of us who don't want to know the depth and beauty of it, because we think it's okay to live the way we live without knowing where we have come from. And those of us who've sat with our parents or our grandparents, when we hear their stories, aren't we so inspired to be able to live also like them? How simple their lives were. How they were like 20 people living in a house. We're 2 people in a house and we can't get along. Isn't it? They had to walk to work, or they had to walk to school. We have to take the subway or the car or the bus, and still we complain. So when we are in touch with our kulachara, we really realize how simple, how beautiful and profound our experiences in the family are, and what we can learn from them. Then kadachara hinaha. Kadachara linaha means we drowned in bad habits. When we say we drown in bad actions, it's really we drown in bad habits. Because when something becomes a negative habit, it's so hard to get away from it. It's really difficult. We can try as we will, but because that habit is so deep, it takes even more effort to take it out of us. That's why whenever we see that this negative habit is forming, our dharma as seekers to stop it right away before it goes really, really deep, because it becomes very hard to remove or very hard to take out. So kadachara lina, kudrishti. Sometimes also our drishti or our sight is not good. What is the sight that's not good? Dvaita, or the sight of difference. Whenever we see or we pay attention to differences instead of the similarities, that's called kudrishti. Whenever we pay attention to what's going to divide us, we pay attention to the color of the skin, we pay attention to the religion, to the gender, to the different cultures, we pay attention to all of that and we focus on that. When the focus of our vision becomes names and forms, that's called kudrishti. Because all we want to do then is division. It's not even a vision, it's division. But when the focus is oneness, when the focus is how are you and I the same, that makes us immediately feel connected. That's why when we say namaste or hari om, we put our hands here, which also means that let's focus on our sameness. I'm seeing God in you. I'm seeing that sameness in you. I'm not focusing on your differences. And when we come and focus on our sameness and then we interact, then that interaction will be very fruitful. So any interaction starts, if we start with a ground of oneness, that interaction will really be fruitful. Then kuvakya prabandha. Kuvakya prabandha is sometimes our words can be very harmful to others. And we are in such a time now where one word that we speak, in 2 seconds, it can become viral. And it can reach so many people through social media, through different means. So more than ever, our vakya, our speech is so valuable because it becomes so influential in the minds of many in seconds. Without us even knowing, people forward it, people pass it on, people share it. We don't even know, but it happens. Before, we didn't have that ability, we didn't have that technology, so it would stop somewhere. Now we can't even measure where it will stop. Kuvakya also means being so careful about how I speak, especially if I'm around younger people, if I'm around younger children or younger relatives or even older people, because they will pick up. Gurudev has a very beautiful saying. He says, values are not taught. Values are caught. They're caught. So whatever we say, the children just pick up. They just pick up. And before you know it, that's what they're speaking and that becomes their language. So sometimes we're indulged in this kuvakya. So we tell Goddess, "Oh Bhavani, oh Goddess, please, please bless us." And how does she bless us? Bless us with knowledge. Because that which guides us on the right path, that which changes the ku to su. Su is like su or sa means it's a good, sadachara is good conduct, sabuddhihi, sadasaha. Those things are great conduct, great servant, great action. That which changes that is knowledge, is our scriptures. So we invoke Devi to come as our guru and teach us how to get out of these habits, how to get out of this negativity. Take us and lift us from there. And when you do that, and when she does that, we will be on the path of virtue. So in this verse, one part is to really accept all the negativities that are in us that we want to change. The second part is really to surrender them, to ask for help. And the third part is really to also make effort on our side to be on that path of goodness. Gatistvam, gatistvam, tvameka Bhavani. Now we will go to the next verse. So you can chant that.
Prajesham Ramesham Mahesham Suresham Dinesham Nishite Swaram Va Kadachit Na Janami Chanyat Sadaham Sharanye Gatisvam Gatisvam Tameka Bhavani Gatisvam Gatisvam Tameka Bhavani.
So, O Bhavani, you are my place of refuge. You are my place of solace. And who is this Bhavani? So here in this verse, Adi Shankaracharya ji has that beautiful way of rhyming everything. Prajesham. Prajesham means the god of people or creation. So this is Brahma, Brahmaji. Ramesham. This means Ramayaha Isha, the Lord of Rama, which is the Lord of Lakshmi. So this means Vishnu. Mahesha, that who is great and who is the Lord, is Lord Shiva. Suresham, Suralam Isha, the Lord of the Devatas. So this is Indra. Dinesham, the Lord of the day. So this is Surya Devata. Nishitheshwara. Nishita is the moon. So the Lord of the moon, or what we call Chandra. Vakadachit. I don't know at all Brahmaji, Vishnuji, Shivaji, Indraji, Surya Devata, Chandra Devata. I don't know any of them. Najanami cha anyat. And I don't know anybody else. I don't know anything else. Aham Sharanye. And he says Sharanye means the name of Durga Devi. That of refuge, our refuge. Sharanya means refuge. Sharanye is calling out to her, our place of refuge. Gatistvam, gatistvam, tvameka Bhavani. You are my only savior. So here we're really calling her out to save us. And here is where we find in our Puranas the story of Mahishasura. Mahishasura was this buffalo. He was this really, really strong buffalo. You know, that whole thing, how everything starts in our Puranas, is Kashyapa has two wives, Diti and Aditi. Aditi means no duality. Diti means duality. The progeny of Aditi, all the children of Aditi are what we call the Devatas. And all the children of Diti is the Asuras. So all those that originate from non-duality, when things come out of non-duality, that can only be sattva, that can only be good. And when things come out of duality or diti, that can only be asurik, that can only be evil tendencies, very rajasic and tamasic tendencies. And so these devas and asuras are in a constant battle, and they're constantly fighting the three worlds. And the three worlds symbolize our physical, our mental, and our intellectual realms. So really, when we read the Puranas, that Kashyapa married Diti and Aditi, what it really means is our intellect, Kashyapa, has, when it weds non-duality, then all of the good thoughts, the devatas, arise in our mind. But when that intellect weds duality or diti, then what happens is all the negative thoughts rise in our mind, and they take over the three worlds. So when the good thoughts are rising, they take over our physical, our mental, and our intellectual realm. When the negative thoughts are rising, they take over these worlds. And so the battles in the Puranas, they express the very battle that's lying inside of the seeker. And so there's always this struggle. There's always this struggle in us. Sometimes the devatas win, sometimes the asuras win, just like in our Puranas. And it so happened that there was this demon, Mahishasura, this asura Mahishasura. He became very, very strong. He became very strong because of boons that he got. And because of that, he took the place of Indra. So Indra is a place. It's not a person, it's a place. And every now and then that Indra changes. And he took the place of Indra and he just wreaked havoc everywhere. So he took over all the posts of all the devatas. He took over the posts of Surya, of Vayu, of Varuna. He took over everyone's posts and he started creating a real big chaos. And so the devatas weren't strong enough because this Mahishasura was just too powerful. Sometimes that happens to us. It's too powerful and they didn't know what to do. So the devatas, whenever they didn't know what to do, what they did was pray. And that's what we should do. Whenever we don't know what to do, just pray. Just pray and everything becomes okay. So they went to Shivaji, to Vishnuji, Brahmaji. They went to them and they said, listen, this Mahishasura has just become so incredibly powerful. He's creating so much chaos. We really need help and we don't know what to do. And so Lord Shiva became so angry. And Lord Shiva is known as Ashutosha, very easy to please. But he's also known as Rudra. He's the one who's going to make you cry. So when Lord Shiva gets angry, he really gets angry. His anger is just huge. And so Bhagavan Vishnu got angry and Brahmaji got angry. And in their anger, they turned red. And when they turned red, what happened was all the blazing light from their anger, all of that came together from Brahmaji, from Vishnuji, from Shivaji, from all of the devatas. It all came together to form this beautiful woman. And she is Durga Devi in the form of Mahasaraswati. She takes the form of Mahasaraswati to slay this Mahishasura. Because nobody could defeat Mahishasura. Nobody could defeat him. So all the gods got together and through their light, through all of their strength, through all of their power, they created this beautiful, powerful Devi. And this Devi, they gave her all of their weapons. And I'm going to read to you her weapons because there's so many of them. This is from Gurudev's book, glory of the mother. The Devatas adorned her with divine ornaments and weapons. And Lord Shiva drew forth a trident and presented it to her. Vishnu Bhagavan brought forth his discus and gave it to her, his Sudarshan Chakra. Varuna gave his conch. Agni gave a spear. Vayu gave a bow and 2 quivers, and lots of arrows, an inexhaustible supply of arrows. Indra brought his Vajra and gave it to her. And Airavata, his 4-tusked elephant. Yama gave her the staff. Prajapati gave her a garland of Rudraksha. And Brahmaji gave her a holy pot, a holy water pot. And everybody started giving her things. Surya Bhagavan filled her with brilliance. And Kala Devata gave her a sword and a shield. And the milky ocean adorned her with a pearl garland. So like this, all the gods got together, all the Devatas got together, and they formed this huge, powerful Devi. And she's got all the weapons. And she went on to face Mahishasura. Now Mahishasura was thinking, okay, big deal. This is just a Devi. What can she do? But oh, he was so wrong. He was defeated. His whole army was defeated by Devi. And she even created Shaktis. She created her own army that defeated Mahishasura's army. And his whole army was wiped out. And then there was only Mahishasura left. And with this Mahishasura, he had this ability to change his forms. So he changed once into a lion. Then he changed into an elephant, hoping to trick her. And still she was able to defeat him. Finally, he went back to his form of a buffalo. And that's when she finally defeated him. And when she defeated him, everyone was so blessed and so happy that Mahishasura was finally gone. And they sang so many praises of Devi. And they said to her, only you could do this. Only you could do this act of vanquishing Mahishasura. So in this case, it was not Brahmaji, it was not Vishnuji, it was not even Shivaji or Indraji or Surya Devata. It was none of them. But it was all of them combined together was really Devi. And she was the one who led them to victory. And that 10th day of victory is Vijaya Dashami. So what we learn from this is that a very, very powerful story, this Mahishasura, he kept changing his form. He was as I said, a lion, and then a buffalo, and then he became an elephant at some point. That symbolizes Vikshepa. Vikshepa is that power which makes us think something to be something else. You all know in Vedanta, there's 2 powers of ignorance. There's avarana, I don't know what it is. Then there's Vikshepa, I think it's something else. So Mahishasura is that power of Vikshepa, which makes us want to think that he's something else. But on this day, or through this beautiful story, Devi comes and she takes away all of our Vikshepa. And she tells us, stop paying attention on any form. Stop paying attention on any form. Go to what's within. Go to what's within the form. So within Mahishasura, go to what's within that form, and don't pay too much attention to this is Shiva, this is Vishnu, this is Brahma, this is Devi. Don't also pay too much attention to that. Get rid of all that and get to what's within, that formless being. And so with this, we seek her blessings. Gadistwam, Gadistwam, Twameka Bhavani. Let us see past through all the forms that which is formless. And let us extol and praise that that formless being in everyone. And truly, when we focus on that, when we realize that that's the only truth, that is called victory. And that is why that day on the 10th day is Vijayadashami. So this is the beautiful story. More stories, more meanings will come tomorrow on Durga Devi. For now, we will stop here and we will go ahead with our puja.